Welcome in to Purple Daily, another episode of Kirk or Blank, where we compare Kirk Cousins and his contract the next 3 years to other options. Will we make the swap for other quarterbacks? That in a second, but thank you to DennisKirk.com for supporting Score North and Purple Daily. It's been a crazy 3 months. The one thing you can still rely on, actually the two things. One, weather, apparently, just ridiculously nice out every single day in Minnesota. And two, riding your motorcycle. It's riding season. DennisKirk.com is a Minnesota-based worldwide retailer of parts, accessories, and apparel for avid bikers of all kinds. So whether you ride a Harley, a cruiser, a sport bike, a dirt bike, or any other type of motorcycle, they've got what you need. $89 orders ship free. Order by 8 p.m. today. Get it tomorrow. DennisKirk.com. Order today. Get it tomorrow, gentlemen.
You like that? You like that?
I'm Phil Mackey. We've got Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff in the house here for Purple Daily. And today's episode is Kirk Cousins or Blank. This is the fourth installment of this game here, boys. And we've already gone through Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger, Jimmy G, Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, and we have three more today. This is how it works. 3-year window in which you get Kirk Cousins' next 3 years of his contract. The contract matters here. So he's 32 years old, average cap hit of $32 million a year in 2020, 21, and 22. The comparable quarterbacks are also tied to their current contracts as well. And this assumes if you make the swap and you save some money, then you would have made that swap before free agency this year. So let's say you swap him out for Sam Darnold, you get the extra $20 million, and you can sign Jadeveon Clowney. All right, so that's how it works. The first one, Carson Wentz. Kirk or Carson Wentz. Carson's 28 years old. Cap hits of $18 million, $34 million, and $31 million the next 3 years, Judd.
And what's Kirk's cap hits over the next 3 years? Do you have that in front
It's
of
an average of $32 million.
Okay, so this is really favorable in 2020, and then it jumps up in 21 and 22, and so this should be a tough decision for me, but it's not. Carson Wentz. I don't feel like we know, and I believe me, I'm somewhat concerned when it comes to Carson Wentz about his ability to stay healthy, so I will make that very clear. But I will say this about Carson Wentz. One, every time I've seen him, I've been impressed. Two, I feel like we don't necessarily know who Carson Wentz as a mature quarterback in the next couple of years is going to become. I think that there's more wiggle room for development here, where I always go back to with Kirk. I think Kirk's a good quarterback, but we know who Kirk is. So despite the jump in salary cap in 21 and 22, I'm going to go with currently 28-year-old Carson Wentz.
Okay, Declan?
I just am not a big Carson Wentz guy. He really gets hurt at the worst possible times. Yards per attempt last season, under 7 yards per attempt. He's actually got sacked a decent amount of time after Philadelphia had a good offensive line for a long time. I'm sorry. I'm taking Kirk Cousins over Carson Wentz all day. The way Kirk Cousins stepped up last year, I don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be able to do it again, and I don't want to pay Carson Wentz $30+ million if I know he can't take a next step.
All right, so I'm taking Carson Wentz, and there's a couple reasons why here. It's not a no-brainer decision. I think the age does matter. Kirk is in his prime, but if I get a guy who's a little bit younger, I think Carson Wentz a little bit more mobile, too. He can escape pressure and keep plays alive. That also leads to his injuries, too, when he gets out and gets a little bit too frisky and tries to gain too many yards. But I get a discount in 2020, so I save $14 million to the cap in 2020. That would have been enough to go get like Jadeveon Clowney or somebody and put them in purple opposite Danielle Hunter, or go get a better offensive lineman or a cornerback of some kind. So to me, it's Carson Wentz and blank, at least for 2020. When his cap hit spikes the next 2 years, I got to figure out the roster, and that's not easy. But here's the thing about Carson Wentz that would give me pause. He's not very accurate, and he's been in the league long enough now to where, like, you should be able to get those rookie jitters out of your system, and, like, your accuracy should not be a huge question when you're 28 years old and you've played a half decade in the NFL. He was 20th in accuracy rate last year, according to Pro Football Focus. Cousins is top 5. So for all of Cousins' faults, he's very accurate. He's also a great deep ball passer. Cousins was 3rd in deep ball passer rating. Wentz was 20th. Now, some of this also might go back to not the accuracy part, but like the deep ball passing and some of the numbers that Declan brought up, like average yards per attempt. Carson Wentz has garbage wide receivers. He's got Zach Ertz, who's one of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL.
Right,
beyond that,
were all hurt last year,
like, yeah, Alshon Jeffrey, probably not the same guy he was a few years ago, and also just banged up. And
hey, Phil, on deep balls, what were the attempts, if you have them in front of you, between Cousins and Wentz?
Let me find it real quick here. I feel like, well, let me also say, if you were to give Carson Wentz Stephon Diggs as a deep target and Adam Thielen as an underneath, I'm guessing that he would have had much better numbers in that category. Deep passing attempts last year. Let's see here. At the top of the list is Jameis Winston, just unleashing deep passes
Through 30
to
picks,
anybody
baby.
he can, man.
Someone catch it.
Carson Wentz was 7th in deep attempts with 74, and
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins was 15th with 61 deep pass attempts.
Yep.
So what that tells me is that Carson Wentz is letting it fly in the play calling with crappy receivers down the field, and so that's one thing that you probably can't hold too much against him.
Stephon Diggs is gone in part because of that, too.
Don't forget, Carson Wentz, 48 fumbles in his career. That's
Small
a
hand?
ton of fumbles. He led the league in fumbles last year.
Cousins fumbles a lot. They both
Yeah.
have sort of fumbleitis. But all right, so two of us are going with Wentz, one's going with Cousins. Kirk or blank, Daniel Jones, 23 years old, average cap hit of $7 million for the next 3 years.
Yep.
Danny Dimes.
Danny
Who you got,
Dimes,
Danny
baby.
Dimes or
Why the
Kirky
hell is
McKirkerson?
is he called Danny Dimes just because it sounds good? Is that why we
It's a
call
great
him
name.
Danny
It's
Dimes?
certainly not based on his completion
No, but I mean,
percentage.
it's like it's a completely undeserved at this point nickname for Daniel Jones. Okay, so a week ago, I believe the first person on the board was Joe Burrow, and I said at that time, I'm taking the number 1 overall pick, who I have not seen play a pro game yet because there's rent control for 5 years. It's a great deal if he develops. Now I can work with my entire roster. The salary cap's not a problem.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is 1 year in, and there's a lot of people who think, oh, he's going to be absolutely fine and he's going to be good, and there's some who think, oh my God, he's not going to be. I saw him play enough last year where I am going to take Kirk Cousins. So this goes against my Joe Burrow pick, but I don't know that Daniel Jones is really that good. The pedigree to me is not really there. It's not Trubisky, but it's another let's get cute and take a quarterback from Duke.
Also, like the
Great basketball school.
The comp for him is Eli Manning, like even down to just the facial expressions and the
I just
hair and the
can't-
look. If someone
I can't do
said
this one.
Eli Manning's a borderline Hall of Famer in terms of winning 2 Super Bowls, but if someone said, "All right, you can lock yourself into 15 years of Eli Manning," are you guys signing up for that for high dollar eventually? I don't know if
Depends
I
on what
am.
the script reads. But anyway, I don't have faith that Daniel Jones is actually going to be that good. And my starting point always with Cousins is I know what you're getting. Daniel Jones could be a complete dumpster fire in 2020.
You like that? You like
All right,
that?
Declan, Danny Dimes or Kirk?
I know I said in our installment, a few weeks ago when we had Sam Darnold on, that I would actually take Darnold because I'm just a little more bullish on him and he's under that rookie contract. So if I'm taking that same logic to Danny Dimes, I've only seen 1 year of Daniel Jones, and it seems like it was a big reach. I still think there's something more to Sam Darnold, so I'm more intrigued by that. But Daniel Jones, the rookie contract's the only reason I would want him here. I don't. He hasn't shown anything that I would want to give my faith into Daniel Jones. And if the Vikings are still in a Super Bowl window, I don't want to put my trust in Danny Dimes because that's going to definitely lower it. So I'm taking Kirk Cousins over Daniel Jones.
All right,
You're gonna be
I'll
that
do
guy?
it.
You're gonna be that guy.
I'm taking Danny Dimes, boys. I'm
Have
taking
fun.
Danny Dimes not
Have fun explaining that one.
Again, it's not because he's a better quarterback right now. Kirk Cousins, very much a better quarterback than Danny Dimes right now. Worth noting that for a rookie with pretty bad infrastructure in New York, the Giants have gone from respected, stable franchise to being one of the worst franchises in the NFL in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And they've got no top wide receivers. Like he threw, back of the football card stats, 24 touchdowns, 12 picks. Only 6.5 yards per attempt, but that's pretty standard for a rookie. A rookie's not going to be going down the field and throwing, even though he's Danny Dimes, he's not throwing dimes 20
I want to know
yards
how
down
he
the
got
field.
that name.
But like his top 2 wide receivers are Sterling Shepard and aging Golden Tate.
Yeah.
So, give the guy some weapons. And again, it's the gap between 32 million and 7 million the next 3 years. So I save 25 million. I can develop him and maybe catch fire in 2021-22 with the rest of my roster as he gets better.
Or you might have Christian Ponder.
Or you might have Ponder.
It's okay. Then I'll draft the next Danny Dimes. Then I'll be in a position to draft
You will, but
whoever I want.
no, you won't. You'll be fired, and the guy that replaces you will draft the next Danny Dimes.
All right, here's the third one here. Kirk or blank?
You like that? You like that?
Jared Goff. He's 26 years old. Average cap hit the same as Kirk Cousins, about 32 million from 2020 through 22. So you're getting a younger quarterback, a guy who was pretty good a couple years ago. Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins, Judd?
All right, 2018. That Jared Goff, fantastic with his boy McVay calling the plays, and until there were 15 seconds left in his helmet saying red 82, golden 3, and Goff bang bang bang. It looked great. 2019, not good. I don't trust him. With this contract and what you were giving me for a cap hit, just flat out now. So we're basically saying, do you, without question now, this is Jared Goff a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, unless you put a ton of value in the 6-year age difference,
Which
in
I
the next
don't
3 years.
in this case. So my answer is flat out no. This is probably because of the fact the cap hits are identical. This is the easiest one for me to say I'm taking Kirk Cousins.
Dex.
This is the toughest one. And this isn't the first Goff on this show to disappoint you. But I think Jared Goff, like that one, I think Jared Goff in the right system is definitely the right choice. Like, if you were to swap, let's just go down another road. If you were to swap Mike Zimmer and Sean McVay, and you gave me Sean McVay and Jared Goff with this Vikings offense, I'm going to take Sean McVay and Jared Goff. I think that has the trajectory to be even a better Super Bowl team. I think that's a contender to be an NFC legitimate team. But with his salary and with McVay basically propping him up to where he was in 2018 when he was a borderline MVP candidate, I don't know if Jared Goff, if you remove one of those two, if you remove McVay from Jared Goff, is he successful? Is he even an average starting quarterback? And the answer is probably no, because we saw that in his rookie season. So it's a push. If you had the right personnel, I'm taking Goff. But if it's Zimmer and this Vikings and Kubiak infrastructure, I got to go with Kirk Cousins.
So I'm in almost full lockstep with Declan Goff here, the better Goff of the two here, a better master of his craft, Declan Goff over Jared.
Wow.
It feels kind of like Jared Goff is being propped up by coaching in a system. I don't think Declan's being propped up by a coaching in a system. I mean, I am a great coach. Don't get me.
Yeah.
And Judd is a great coach.
Yeah.
But I think it does feel like Goff, if you took him out of that system and you put him in a different system and infrastructure, he'd be a train wreck. If you put Russell Wilson in a different system, I think he'd thrive. If you put Aaron Rodgers in his career in a different system, I think he'd thrive. It just feels like
What if I were to give you boys Kirk Cousins in the Sean McVay system?
I mean, couldn't you make the case that he kind of was in Washington? I mean, it was
that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
So you're saying an advanced veteran Cousins back with Sean McVay?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that would be super fun to watch.
I'd be curious what would happen.
So the outlier season for Goff at this point is 2018, when he put up the 4,600 yards and a bunch of touchdowns and Super Bowl. The other seasons have ranked from garbage to meh, and everything has to be perfect around him. I've got some numbers on him too. He was 25th in passer rating when under pressure last year. Cousins was 7th. Deep ball passing, Cousins 9 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3rd in passer rating. Goff 1 touchdown, 4 picks, 34th in deep passer rating. So he can't throw deep. He's bad under pressure. If his offensive line isn't great, he's a train wreck. Cousins has a little of that to him, but not as much as Jared Goff. I'm taking Kirk Cousins. So we're through about half the league, gentlemen, in Kirk or blank. A little bit more than half the starting quarterbacks. And I think it's been kind of an even split. I don't know. Is there anyone that you want to? I mean, Russell Wilson's out. We haven't done Russell Wilson.
We've done Matt Ryan.
We've done Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins. Just chain links in any football quarterback rankings that you have. They have to just be like right next to each other.
Okay.
So I think maybe we'll do another rookie quarterback. Maybe we do Herbert next week. See how committed we are to
who the hell is
going
to start for the Chargers?
Well,
Colin Kaepernick. There's a report. There's a report
Wouldn't it be
today.
great if he came back and played well? Just shoved it right up the league. You know what?
The Chargers have said Colin Kaepernick is a great fit for the system that we run, and he has been put on the workout list this summer for the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Los Angeles Chargers are the only team in the league that doesn't have to worry about alienating a large fan base.
Yeah.
In fact, they're probably looking to just get some more fans. He might help bring more fans into the building.
Absolutely.
So
it's a good way to sell tickets in the new stadium.
Yep. That's a wrap on this episode.
Yeah,
that might not happen until 2021, unfortunately. But they could sell some Kaepernick jerseys out there in Los Angeles.
I bet you within a week, if his jersey is put on the market with the Chargers, within a week, it would be the top-selling jersey in the league.
Yeah, it probably would be.
Mm-hmm.
It probably would be.
I bet that.
I wouldn't buy one, but
I think you don't have any jerseys.
I know. Well, yeah, it's not personal. I just wouldn't buy them.
It also violates the Mackey and Judd jersey rule of buying jerseys of players who are younger than yourself.
Amen.
They've got to be ironic jerseys or players who are older.
So
Otherwise, it's weird.
I could get a Jared Goff jersey. I think Jared Goff and I are like the same age.
He's 26.
Okay, he's younger than me. I'm 27.
So
he's
it's officially
25.
weird.
He's actually 25.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
a real violation of
Yep.
the rule.
Officially weird. Thanks for hanging out with us on this episode of Purple Day. You can also find Mackey and Judd, the podcast, with segments like Write That Down, Action Movie Rewind, and Minnesota Sports Rewind. Anywhere you find podcasts, Mackey and Judd, Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com. See you next time.